Welcome to the final week of our War Against the Spread Fringe Element Edition here, SEC Championship Edition. My name is Braden Gall. You can get to me on Twitter at Braden Gall.
And I'm Stephen Lassan. You can follow me on Twitter at AthlonSteven, and you can also check out my work at athlonsports.com and all CFB 365 on YouTube.
We will spend a few more minutes on one game today, obviously previewing the SEC Championship game and getting your perspective on it, Stephen. I know Aaron and I talked about it a little bit with Chris Marler, and of course we had Alex McDaniel on the other episode, so please make sure you're checking that out. I did give a juicy nugget about the SEC Championship game late deep into that podcast, so make sure you're listening to that episode. Steve, I want to get your perspective on the game today, but we wrap up our War Against the Spread 2022. Yes, we took it on the chin last week, folks. Yes, Stephen went 2-7, his first losing record in like 6 weeks. I went 4-5, another losing record. I beat you on the Egg Bowl. You beat me on Florida State. I had Georgia Tech, so I won that one. We both had Kentucky. I had Bama. You had by 1/2 of a point, by the way. I think I won that one. Either way, you finished the season 10 games over 500, 53, 43, and 2. I finished the season after picking 98 SEC football games. I finished 48, 48, and 2, Stephen. So you beat me. You get the trophy. 10 games over. You made people money. I finished without enough wins to cover the juice. So.
Unless you get this week right.
That's true.
No pressure.
So much pressure.
You're either one over or you're under.
Oh, man.
So no pressure, Braden, but unfortunately, yeah, we had a really bad week. It was tough. I mean, all the matchups between rivals and, the spreads were kind of weird, and I didn't feel great about it. I know you didn't either. So, hey, we still ended up over 500. So we'll take it for the year.
No, I think the lesson is, and I said this on our other podcast, by the way, Cover 2 podcast, go check it out. I said I was not gambling on anything. I was not gambling on anything in college football last week, and I did not. I did not put any money on any games. And I have a much bigger bankroll today than I probably would have had that not happened. So,
and you enjoyed the games because you didn't have to sweat anything out.
Oh, I didn't at all. All right, we're gonna get to LSU and Georgia, the SEC Championship game, 31st edition of said event, 17.5 point spread. But before we do, of course, Fringe Element is brought to you by
J.E. Dunn, Braden, a wonderful sponsor of the show.
Yeah,
great friends. They've got locations all across the Southeast. Don't need any experience. Need a new place to work? Look, quiet quitting your current job? J.E. Dunn, our friends there. A great place to work.
If you need to recover from last week's 2-7 performance from Steven, go to jedunn.com. No, look, I think there are over 200 job openings right now at J.E. Dunn. $5 billion in annual revenue, top 100 healthiest place to work in the United States. They have offices all across the Southeast. So if you're an SEC fan listening to this, or somebody in another region, they got offices in California, in the Midwest, in the Heartland. Like, again, it's all about just creating a culture and an environment that is successful, happy, and productive for you, the employee, because they believe in, I would argue, the right way to do business, because happy, healthy employees are more productive employees. They want to come to work. They are inspired to do more work and to do better work instead of that quiet quitting crap you get when you work for a garbage company. Go work for J.E. Dunn. Check them out. jedunn.com is the website. All right, Georgia and LSU. This will be a little bit longer on the game standpoint, because normally we just do a quick hit on each game. We make a pick against the spread. I want to talk about the game for a second before we make our final predictions and actually give you my bet, because, again, this one, my entire season depends on it.
No pressure.
Is there a path to an outright victory for LSU other than like 5 turnovers from Stetson Bennett, a freak of nature performance from 3 guys, B.J. Ojolari, Harold Perkins, and Jayden Daniels? Because if you have an athletic quarterback and a good defensive line, you've got 2 pretty important pieces to kind of make a game close. If you can create pressure, make turnover, like, is that the only possible way that LSU has any opportunity to win this game at all?
Yeah, I think so. I think you said it best there. I think any path to a victory for LSU starts with those 3 difference makers, because if I'm LSU, I need Jayden Daniels to be healthy. I need him to be on the move, making plays with his legs. The pocket's going to break down. So I need him on 3rd downs to be able to get me first downs by rushing. Then I want him on the edge, just making throws to the edges, or however you want to word it. He's got to be 100% healthy and at his best. And the 2 guys on defense, you go back to Georgia throughout the season, the Missouri game and how aggressive Missouri was. at the line of scrimmage. You know, Ojulari and Perkins can create some negative plays. I think you need a couple turnovers to steal this one, because I think it's going to be hard for LSU to try and manufacture, you know, 5-6 really good drives against a good Georgia defense. Georgia has just met the moment every time when they've been tested this year, and I wonder if we'll see that again this Saturday.
Well, and Stetson Bennett, for all his flaws or lack of elite talent or whatever, he generally is pretty good in big moments. I also think Georgia has done a very good job of managing the season as an entire entity, meaning they've like kept some pieces back. They've waited to bring some pieces out of on the offense, whether it's a wide receiver or an extra tight end. They've kind of held back some packages. And as the season has gone along, it seems like they've gotten more pieces involved. And that, to your point about rising to the moment, is really, really difficult to stop for LSU. So I do think that if you're trying to make the case and make the straw man argument for LSU to play in the game, it has to be near perfection from Jayden Daniels in the pocket and outside, creating havoc with his legs, and just like bizarro 3 turnovers from Stetson Bennett, and it's those LSU defensive players just making all kinds of. There's no way they line up head to head and just beat this team. Now, here's the stat I threw out on the other episode of the pod. Make sure you check it out, of course. I'm assuming if you listen to this one, you listen to both of them. 30 times the SEC championship game has been played. Can you tell me how many times the game was within 3 points?
It's not many, is it? Because I think the stat is over the last 10, they've been decided by more than one score.
Twice, all in the history of 30 games. That was 1994, 1997. Now, we've had 7 total out of the 30 that were 1-score games, which is 8 points or less. And I think 2 times recently that's happened. Obviously the Kyle Trask game was a short game. I don't have it in front of me. I don't know what year was that. 2018 Kyle Trask. No,
2020 was Alabama
2020.
and Georgia. That was close.
And then Florida and Kyle Trask, they only lost to Alabama like 51-46. That was a 1-score game. Aaron Murray in 2012 with the play where the guy fell down at the 5-yard line. That was a 4-point game, I think. But within a field goal, it's only happened 2 times in the history of the game, and the last time that happened was 1997. So this doesn't tend to be a close game, which obviously helps Georgia in this situation if you're gambling. So without any further ado, 17.5 points is your total number there for this game. The over-under is 51. So this will be a bonus bet that won't count on our record, but I do want to know where you're going. So 17.5 and 51. What you got?
Went back and forth on this one because I do think there's a lot of motivation for Georgia considering what happened in this game last season. You know, they had the perfect season. Alabama won. Of course, Georgia still won the national championship, and they're on their path to doing it again this year. Not knowing how healthy Jayden Daniels is a big concern for me. If I would feel a lot better knowing at what percentage he is going into this game and being able to bet. I think 17.5 is a lot of points. I'm going to take LSU to cover. I think it's a lower scoring game. So I'll take LSU cover in the under. I think Georgia gets up and kind of the game comes down to a halt in the second half as Kirby just looks to get out of there with the victory. Keep in mind, Kentucky and Georgia Tech tried to play a very low possession game with Georgia. I think, Georgia had 3 or 4 possessions in the first half against Kentucky. Georgia Tech tried to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I think LSU will try and shorten this game too, which kind of lends me to take the under here.
If Jayden Daniels is healthy, I think they need 2 touchdowns to hit the over. If LSU gets 2 scores, not 10 points, but 2 touchdowns, 14, I think that hits the over. I think you're right. Georgia has tended to slow things down. I do think the defense for LSU is good in the right spots to slow Georgia down-ish. Again, not a lot, but ish. And I think if you, I'm laying the points on Georgia here. I'm taking Georgia minus the 17.5. If you're picking that, I feel like you need to take the over. If you're taking LSU in the points, I feel like the under is the right play strategically. So there you have it. You've got last one of the season, Steven. You've got LSU. I've got Georgia. Here's the final question for you. If you're a Georgia fan, what are you rooting for this weekend to happen around the country? Because I think the answer is pretty clear.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would rather play USC if I'm Georgia in the first round or TCU. Like, I think there's an argument about Ohio State and getting CJ Stroud and getting those receivers. And the same thing could be true for USC with the firepower that they have. But with USC's defense, if that ends up being the number 4 team, like that's the glaring, like weakest side of one team. So I would say if you're Georgia, you're probably rooting to get TCU or USC in that first round matchup. It'd be in the Peach Bowl, so it'd be a huge advantage in terms of crowd for Georgia if that ends up being the first round of the playoff.
But it's not even close which one you're rooting for, though. Which one thing? What is the one thing you're rooting for? And to me, it is for USC to win and for TCU to lose. Because then I think USC moves up to 3, TCU falls back to 4 in a close game with Kansas State. And that's the matchup you want. You want TCU. In my opinion.
Yeah,
right?
I think you can make an argument either way. Like, I guess if you're looking at like TCU is probably they're solid all around. I think if you're trying to match up against USC, there's that one side of the ball that's so good that could give Georgia's defense some trouble. And they have so much, like they have the difference maker in Caleb Williams, and you get him on the same field, and then who knows what happens. If you're playing TCU, I wouldn't want
to play him. I would not want to play USC. I'd rather play TCU a million times out of a million. So, and maybe that's wrong.
The USC's defense just being such a liability would be I think Georgia's offense would have no trouble moving up and down on USC's defense.
I think you have to outscore Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Should be a lot of fun. There you have it. Of course, the picks against the spread for the season. You win. You dominate. 10 games over. I just need one more win, Georgia minus 17, to get just over 500 and feel better about myself. Make sure you check out J.E. Dunn, of course. Special thanks to them for being along for the ride the entire season. They'll be with us all the way through the championship games and the playoffs, so stick with us here on the pod. JEDunn.com is the website, top 100 healthiest place to work. Look for your next career move. You want to make a change. You're looking for some inspiration. Go check them out. I promise you will not be disappointed. JEDunn.com is the website. Stephen, where can people find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at AthlonSteven. You can check out my work at athlonsports.com and all CFB 365 on YouTube.
There you have it. You can get to me on Twitter at Braden Gall as well. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Congratulations, Stephen, on your very impressive trophy and victory in this heated rivalry that has lasted for one season. We do appreciate it.
Hopefully be renewed for a second one.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks for listening to us, everybody. Make sure you check out, again, fantastic interview with Alex McDaniel, Chris Marler on the episode this week. So make sure you check that out. Otherwise, thanks for listening. Enjoy the weekend. We'll talk to you next week. This has been War Against the Spread Fridge Element here on the 440 Sports Network.